And here is the sound of Indiana Fever head coach Christie Sides throwing her team under the bus.
Christie, what did you think was the biggest problem with the defensive end?
I'm going to start with, you can't at this level coach effort. I felt like we were just trying to ask them to keep playing hard, play hard. You can't start there. You can't play in this league if that's what, if you have to coach effort. It's just too hard.
Got it. What was the reasoning behind benching the starters midway through the third quarter?
We were down 28, and I wanted to put a group in there that would get out and play some defense. I'm really proud of that group that went out there and cut the lead. They played hard. We've got Atlanta coming up. We've got Chicago.
Now, Christie Sides would not be the first coach to put in a second unit to look for a spark, right? Like, that's fine. Okay, we wanted to see a little effort. Even though the crowd in Connecticut was chanting, "We want Caitlin," at that point in the game. But the game was over in the fourth quarter. If you want to say, you want to make the argument they paid the price for those tickets, she should go back in the game, fine. But for the Fever, there's no problem with Clark sitting down at that point in the game. The problem here is Sides not taking any responsibility. Generally, this is the type of stuff you see right before a coach is gone. She's out there, asks the question, and deflects all of the blame. I can't coach effort. And, it is true that players need personal pride, and you shouldn't have to coach effort. But when the effort is not there, is that because the coach has lost the team? Caitlin Clark is not known as a defensive stalwart. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she is, but I think she's been much better on the defensive end since the first couple of games of the season. She's averaging 1.5 steals and a block a game. But the Fever as a whole have been horrendous defensively. Horrendous. And on the boards. Part of that's roster construction. I think they just don't have a lot of high-level athleticism, a lot of quickness. So they don't get to loose balls. They don't get to the rebounds. They don't close out. They left people wide open, though, in this game. They left players on the Sun wide open. But they did it against the Mystics, too. They left Dolson, who's a spot-up shooter, wide open. I mean, some of that has to come down to scheming and coaching. I'm not sure exactly, what's being taught with that team in that locker room and everything. But, of course, Caitlin Clark is going to be asked about what Christie Sides said. And here is what she responded with when posed that question.
Coach and Coach team was talking about just not being pleased with the effort, I guess, all around from the team. What was her message to you all in terms of that?
Yeah, I think it's just like, you can't coach effort. This is a team you can't come out and be lackadaisical against. Like, they're just that good. They're going to punch you in the mouth, and I don't think we had it from the jump. And obviously that's a little disappointing. But that's something they can't coach. Effort is not something they can coach. They can coach X and O's, but they can't coach that. And I thought we just could have played with a lot better energy. I thought we let little things on the offensive end frustrate us, and we didn't play good defense. It seemed like everything they got was easy. Nothing was challenged, uncontested threes. We were giving up and ones. We put them at the free throw line, and that was the key to the game. Like, you can't foul this team. They lead the league in free throws attempted, I'm pretty sure. And that's exactly what we did. So it's not a recipe to win many games.
And Caitlin, again, answers the question well, diplomatically. You can see she looks a little beleaguered, a little tired. But, this is not – Christie Sides has been criticized since the beginning of the season. And I've done my best to defend her and give her the benefit of the doubt because, I didn't want the craziest part of the Caitlin Clark fan base to get up ahead of their skis. But, I'm starting to wonder if she's going to last the season. Because these are the things that start coming out, the type of stuff. Even when she said the other night, when they asked why Clark was in the game against the Liberty, the game I went to with my daughter, why she was in the game late, after that grueling schedule. And she's like, they just wanted to fight. They just wanted to fight. Those are the crutches that coaches tend to land on. They keep fighting for me. They keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting. We're not going to give up. But she goes from we're fighting to everybody quit. There's no effort. Everybody quit. There's no effort. And this is coming after Sides blew up Clark's spot. I did a video on it. Check it out. Like, after Caitlin was out there following the Olympic team fiasco and really simmered it down, like calmed it all down, the coach is like, yeah, she texted me. They woke up a monster. And then, of course, I said at the time, that was going to be thrown in her face. The coach did that. And sure enough, I'm sure it's everywhere with the little, air ball that Caitlin shot. And Caitlin, look, I've said it a million times. She needs to get that mid-range game eventually, sooner rather than later. And there is a level of adjustment to the physicality and the athleticism she's facing. Without the proper screening and movement, she's not going to be able to just blow by people at this level. That's going to take, screens. That's going to take spacing. That's going to take her getting the ball in transition. This team needs to move. But it's hard to move when somebody's under the bus. Ideally, I know he's up there in age, and I'm not even saying this is a realistic possibility. I know the Iowa fans have clamored for Lisa Bluter. Mike D'Antoni, to me, would be the ideal coach for a Caitlin Clark. That style. She needs the ball. She needs to control things and be the maestro. That's what she's good at. Whether it's creating that shot for herself or setting up teammates, pushing the ball, whatever the case may be. Because when they're in the half court, it's so much tougher because of all that extra defensive attention she's getting. And there's not shooters spreading the floor. And the bigs aren't particularly fast cutting. There's a lot of problems there. They got to pick it up. Pick up the pace. And that's the style of play that I think would unlock her game the most. Obviously, we saw what D'Antoni did with Steve Nash. And, I've compared Caitlin Clark's most ardent fans who weren't basketball fans before and, were just fans of her to Jeremy Lin fans, which I saw covering the Knicks during that time period. And that was what I was trying to use in defensive sides, because at that time, anything that didn't go right for Lin, who I liked, by the way, his fans would blame everybody else. And, that happens with players all the time. But this is a case of Christie Sides, the coach, blaming everybody else. Has she said anything about herself and what she can do better and how she can do better? Because that was not fun to watch. And even against the Mystics, they won that game more so because of Clark's heroics than the team. They need Fag Bentley back in the worst way, but I'm not so sure that coaching search ain't going to happen maybe even over that Olympic break.